Moldavite made me sick, and I'm still kind of getting over that, but I've been itching to make this video, and I know that it is the perfect time because as I'm making this video, we are going to be about to be at 11,000 subscribers, and I'm going to have 111 videos, 111 videos, 11,000 subscribers, and when we pass 11,000, it'll be at 11.1 thousand. But I'm going to be talking about how Moldavite made me sick and sent me signs in this video, and that's a sign right there. But there's been many signs that have happened, and I mean, I got to talk to the Moldavite King recently, Mark Byersky, you know, that I used to watch, and that was one big synchronicity. But even more things have happened to me, and you know, it sounds crazy to say that a tiny rock is gonna make you sick, but it's not just the rock, you know, it's not just the tektite, the crystal. It is the thing is just highlighting something within you. You know, the sickness that I had, I could feel it wasn't a normal sickness, and I could feel that my forehead and stuff up here was clearing out, and you know, opening my third eye more, and my heart was like on fire. I was sweating out of my hands, and I didn't have a fever. It felt like I had a fever. I was very hot, but I checked and I didn't have a fever. But yeah, stuff was coming out of my nose, but it was really just clearing stuff out of my head to my pineal gland, which is a very real thing. You know, the third eye is not just some myth. You know, look up the pineal gland. There are things that calcify that, and there's a reason they put certain things in certain things that people consume. But anyways, I could tell Moldavite was just highlighting that I had some things like covering up my third eye, covering up my heart chakra, you know, covering up little things. And Moldavite will also do this thing to you where it's like, oh, remember that thing that you thought you got over, or remember that thing that you didn't remember, that you repressed, that memory you repressed. Oh, it's here now. Bringing it forward to your consciousness, like, oh, and that thing too. So that'll happen sometimes, and that's why people will say, oh, Moldavite ruins your life, you got to take it off, get rid of it. Because they can't take it, you know. Isn't it? Moldavite is not built for the weak, but if you're able to withstand it, you will become very powerful. You know, it's not for everybody. And when you get a new piece, I mean, I've done this before, and at times I'll think, well, you know, was Moldavite just a placebo effect? And you know, I've seen other people get Moldavite and they haven't had the reactions that I've had, so I'm just thinking, well, maybe I'm just making myself believe it. But then I'll just like not even really be trying to believe in Moldavite. I'll just have like for a while I haven't even made Moldavite videos, and then I just get this tiny piece that hits me harder than any big pieces that I know are real, because I got them from Mark before I met him. Like, I bought them myself, nicer, more expensive ones that didn't hit me as much as this one, and those help me in a different way. You know, I think it's still helping certain people that get Moldavite and think, well, it's not really working. But this time I could tell. So if you're someone that got Moldavite and got sick, and you feel like garbage, and you just like have every bad memory you have coming to the surface, you're having crazy dreams, remember that success does not visit you in your dreams. Success visits you in your nightmares. Shout out to Tim Grover. But seriously, it doesn't have to be success. That's just how he put it. But I'm just saying, the life you want to live, success can be your definition, right? So if you want to have success on your spiritual journey, Moldavite is the perfect transformational stone. So if you want to transform, you should use Moldavite, you know, if you're willing to take it. But transformation is not always comfortable. You know, it's not for everybody. But you know, I think it is for everybody. That's why we came here. But not everybody necessarily wants to rapidly transform. If you want to have rapid transformation, I recommend getting Moldavite. I've been that person that sits there and thinks, is Moldavite even working? You know, when you get used to a certain piece of Moldavite, or you get one that's not necessarily, it doesn't hit you the same. They're all different. You know, sometimes I've gotten Moldavite and I don't get sick and I don't feel this way. And I've seen other people get Moldavite that I know is real, and they don't really seem to have the same dramatic effects that I do. But this one in particular that Mark sent me, it feels like the first time I got Moldavite. And the first time I got Moldavite, the first piece I got, I maybe had it for 2 weeks to a month. I'm not even sure if I made it to a month. I feel like it was like 2 or 3 weeks, and it disappeared. If you feel sick and you feel all these things coming up, you're probably smart enough to know that that means it's working, and that is a good sign. As bad as it feels, you know, don't give up, because if you keep going, it's gonna really transform you. It is the tektite of transformation for a reason. And I know a lot of people that just think this is some BS, and maybe they get it and it is BS for them. I don't have the answer to why Moldavite acts a certain way for certain people, because I've been a person who makes videos about Moldavite, who knows that Moldavite works, and I've had Moldavite and just been like, some days like, is it really working? Is it really doing anything? Or I've gotten certain pieces and maybe I felt a little something at first, or got used to the frequency, right? Because you raise to that frequency, and then it just becomes normal sometimes. And I think it's still teaching you things, but sometimes you just get a new piece like this. You're not really expecting it. You know, Mark decided to send me these out of the kindness of his heart. He sent me even more crystals, which I'll show off more. One of them being this moonstone that's laying right here, the white one. But, you know, I wasn't really expecting it, and out of nowhere, it sent me a lot of signs as well. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying it's just Moldavite. Sometimes I say Moldavite sent me signs, you know, because that sounds better, or, you know, whatever. Sometimes that's a good way to look at it, but it's really just working through me. Just the way the universe sends you signs, the universe is you. God sends you signs, God is within you. It even says that in the Bible. Jesus was really saying that. So if you really look deeper into certain things, you see everybody saying the same thing. And when you when you learn all this conceptually, maybe you don't fully get it. But then when you experience it, as Moldavite has forced me to, and you get this jolt of energy, and you go through that pain of being sick, but you know deep down there is something going on here. So don't take it off. You can, but normally those problems are just gonna be suppressed still. They're gonna resurface again, or whatever. But I've never taken Moldavite off ever since I got it, because of just how much it transformed me. You know, I've taken it off on occasion, just like when I needed to or when I felt like it, but never like when I got a new piece. I never took it off thinking, oh, I can't take this. You know, the pain sucks. I get it. I'm not saying it isn't real, and that's what a lot of people don't understand, that haven't felt the effects of Moldavite as some of us have. You know, in order to be more sensitive to pleasure, you must also be more sensitive to pain. And as you go through a spiritual awakening, or whatever journey you're on, or however you came across Moldavite, you're going through something very transformational. And Moldavite comes from an asteroid, meteorite, I forget which word it is. I've always mixed that up. But basically it's come from out of this world, and this thing right here has craters on it. I'm not sure if you can really see it, because I can't focus it properly. But if you look up pieces of Moldavite, it has craters on it, and it landed in the Czech Republic for the most part, but other places, probably some, I don't know. I'll have to ask Mark. He knows a lot more. He's actually been there. You know, Mark's the man, and I'm meeting him and really getting to speak with him right right at this time where I was going through a lot of life changes. You could also call this the Moldavite flush, is what I've been experiencing. Everything has been flushing out of me, and I can genuinely feel it. And now I've gotten past it pretty fast. Like, it went by very fast. And normally when I get sick, it's not like that at all. So I know it's not the same thing. The whole time I knew it wasn't a normal sickness. This was different, and it felt like the first time I got Moldavite. But some synchronicity that happened to me is the day that I put this on, I didn't really think about it, but I had gotten this shipment from Mark, and I hadn't put it on yet because I wanted to put it on like a day where I wanted to go make a video, and I felt like I wanted to go make a video, so I put it on and ended up driving to go make the video, and I started feeling sick. And it turned out to be the day, it was 3 years on the day that Kobe Bryant had passed away. As many of you know, Kobe is one of my like biggest inspirations growing up. And if you really look into like Kobe's interviews, I encourage you to go watch Kobe Bryant interviews. See that he was more than just, you know, what the media portrays him to be. And who knows what really happened to Kobe Bryant. That's all I have to say about that. And I would never want to disrespect him by saying that, because I love Kobe or his family or anybody by questioning what happened to him. I don't want to do that. But, you know, there's many things are deeper than the surface. And certain people that have been painted as villains, or I'm not sure he was necessarily painted as a villain as much as other people. Everything is not what it seems. But I have a deep connection to Kobe. My yearbook quote was literally just the word Kobe. I was kind of referencing, you know, how people would shoot the stuff in the trash can and say Kobe, but it also kind of meant more. It was just like, I didn't even really know what it meant. I was just like, I don't really have a yearbook quote. I'm just going to put Kobe. And I know the truth about sports. I know it's a distraction. I know certain parts of it that are a harsh reality for me to face, but I enjoy the camaraderie of, you know, talking about it with friends or going to games. And I enjoy, you know, athletes inspire me. People's stories inspire me in whatever field, you know, not just sports in general. And I take inspiration from literally everything, even people that I don't necessarily look up to. I feel like too many people are picky on who they will not necessarily take advice from, but use things that they do to their advantage, you know, subtle things, the details that people do that you might pick up on with your intuition. But not only did I put this on the day that Kobe died, and that was already a big synchronicity for me, but then the next day I had slept the entire day. I was supposed to go to a basketball game, funny enough, with one of my friends, but I couldn't go because I just felt too bad. I couldn't do it. And so I slept throughout the entire day, didn't even watch the game on TV. And I woke up at exactly what time? 8:24, and I screenshotted it, so I will put it on the screen, and I believe I had like 59 notifications. So you'll know I'm not lying. Like, I was sleeping all day. I had 59 notifications, and that's not a normal thing. That would just be sitting on my phone. But I'm not lying. Believe me if you want to or not. But this kind of stuff happens to me all the time, so I really don't care if anyone believes me. You will just see by what happens. Then I turned on I was watching TV, and I turned on The Rise of Skywalker. And, you know, I've criticized The Rise of Skywalker in the new Star Wars films in my video where I talked about the spiritual meaning of Spider-Man No Way Home, but I still enjoy it because it's Star Wars. And like I just said, I can take inspiration from anything. So I just turned it on, and it was like midway through the movie or whatever, and the scene that came up, it was the scene where Finn he literally said, like, it's a feeling. And he was like talking about the Force, and I don't remember the exact lines, but if you go watch The Rise of Skywalker or find it somewhere where Finn's talking about the Force and he said it's a feeling, I literally clicked on it on my TV, and it was right where he was like, it's a feeling, or this girl, he's talking to this girl, and he was talking about the Force, but the Force is also the same thing. Like, it was like, it's a feeling, I know it's right, I know it's real, Moldavite, the spiritual awakening, the things that I had been experiencing, the things that I feel like other people don't get, but I just know it's right, that I'm becoming more comfortable with now because I'm just not allowing myself to be influenced by other people's opinions anymore. But all of this has just been kind of culminating, right? So then I've been having synchronicity with the dark side, and I talked about this in my last video. I mentioned a Tim Grover quote earlier, and he was MJ and Kobe's trainer, like trainer type thing, and I'm starting to understand my dark side even more. It's not just my competitive nature. It's deeper than the surface, and that's just how it manifests. But I know my real dark side, and I've known it, and I use it. There's many layers to my dark side, but I've started to accept that part of me, and it's okay, because I can use those things to create good. And so part of that dark side, I've always kind of related to Batman, because Batman, or superheroes in general, because they like to wear a mask, and they like to hide who they really are, but the mask is actually their real self, And so Batman is actually the real Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne is the mask that Batman wears. And so I kind of relate to that, and I love Batman and whatnot. So I decided I'd watch Zack Snyder's Justice League, because for some reason that had popped up. I need to finally watch that because I never watched it. And so Zack Snyder's Justice League was a movie that most people thought wasn't going to happen, and they had her director come in and basically hijack it, change stuff around, make it shorter. It probably wasn't just that director's fault, but the real director, Zack Snyder, finally got to put out his, and man, was it good. But that whole movie was one giant synchronicity for me, and I now see why I needed to watch that. So in Zack Snyder's Justice League, the big villain is Darkseid. It's spelled differently, but Darkseid, who's probably, like, if not the most powerful, one of the most powerful villains in the DC universe. Similar to Thanos, if you just know Marvel, I guess you could say. But basically, he's a big villain in this movie. Darkseid, as I'm talking about, embracing my dark side. I didn't even know that. Didn't really know much about this movie going in. I had watched Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman. I loved those when I was a kid. For some reason, I never watched the Justice League because it sucked. I heard the original one sucked, but Zack Snyder's is very good. And it's a little bit darker as I'm embracing my dark side. Man, I'm not going to spoil the movie. Superman and Moldavite also connected. You know that Moldavite is actually, many people believe, the crystal or stone tektite that they based kryptonite on. And where is my little Moldavite? Yes. They believe, because of its green color, that is actually what kryptonite is based off. Moldavite, kryptonite, and a lot of people think that this is the stone of the Holy Grail. So those are some interesting theories. I obviously have no way to prove that, but I think that it would make sense, because Moldavite does seem bad. It's like one of those things where it's like, let's demonize it, right? A lot of people demonize Moldavite. But what if this would actually make Superman more powerful if he learned how to harness it? And I get kryptonite can, like, kill Superman. There's a scene, right? It's a big scene in the movie, and you'll know what scene I'm talking about. I would suggest you go watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. It is actually worth buying. I think it's a 4-hour movie. It's a long freaking movie, but it's not the same as the other Justice League, because he didn't have control over that. And it's one of the rare cases where someone's able to release this movie, and something tragic actually, happened to him and his family, with his daughter, before releasing this, or while he was directing the original one. So it's a really, like, heart that you could tell he put his heart into this freaking movie, and I really appreciated it. And the final scene, really hit me, man. I mean, it hit me. It's not the final scene, but it's like a very big scene. You will know what scene I'm talking about if you know who I am. Like you'll know. Oh, this is the scene right here that he's talking about. And all I have to say about that is it's all right now. It's all right now. You know, there are many references to the present moment, to everything happening at this now moment in this movie, and even after that big scene that you're gonna know I'm talking about, and even the part before that part really hits me. Like, I don't know, it was crazy. I didn't expect that to hit me like that. It was insane. I was just overcome with chills and just like, oh my, it was insane. But at the end, it'll come up and it'll say epilogue, and that there's this person talking, right, and they're saying a lot of things about the present moment and how it's. Yeah, I think they even said you are the present moment or something like that, and it was. I mean, I was like, what is Zack Snyder onto with this movie, right? Like, why didn't they let him finish it and release it originally? Um, I guess they ended up doing it because a lot of the cast and everybody was begging them to. And I'm approaching a demon. I'm approaching one of my biggest demons, probably the final boss. Maybe not the final boss, but it's a big demon that I gotta face, and I know it's approaching, and I'm not nearly as nervous of it as I used to be. But when I started on this journey of making this channel, I knew I was gonna have to face that demon. You may be having to face that for yourself when you got Moldavite and it made you sick, or it did something to you. And I've got a whole playlist on Moldavite, so you can watch my other videos. But I've experienced just about a lot of things that could happen to someone with Moldavite. It's disappeared on me. It's broken. It's made me sick. It's made me happy. It's made me sad. And again, it hasn't made me. It's just brought those things out within me, and it's caused me to transform. It's caused me to accept myself and accept the dark parts of myself, or what I've been calling darkness. You can call it whatever. Well, let's not play the semantics game. If you get what I'm saying, you get what I'm saying. But maybe you need to embrace something about yourself and, realize that it's okay. And it's all right now. Everything happens right now. You can create your future. You can create your past. It's all right now. Moldavite is my radioactive spider bite. And I've actually met my, I'm finally learning how to use my powers, because I'm accepting that they exist, even though that other people don't believe it. I've known that it's real the whole time. It's just that I've kind of hidden from it because of my fear of other people's opinions. But since I've accepted my power, life has started finally working for me. Since I stopped caring as much, life has started working for me, and I'm not gonna act like I don't care. I do care. I care a lot, about this channel, at least, about how I'm perceived, because I want to leave a legacy. But I understand that I will be misunderstood. But I'm also okay with that, because I realize that all the people I look up to, most of them have been misunderstood. All of the greatest people in the world have been hated, have been misunderstood. So it's a compliment. But Moldavite has allowed me to live out that superhero dream, and I've been going on this hero's journey that I think I talked about in one of my recent videos. I think my most recent video, other than the one with Mark, before I've talked to Mark, where I talked about the hero's journey, and then he asked me to come have a conversation with him. And he's that guide in the hero's journey. Moldavite's that guide as well. I met the guide that's going to help me along my journey. And everything seems to be aligning. And even the worst moments where I could complain and be like, oh, why am I getting sick? Finally, something good happened to me. Of course I'm going to get sick. Now, oh, it's just God and the universe punishing me for getting too cocky and thinking that I'm successful now. I could think that. Or I could see it as a good sign. I could see that, oh, the Moldavite's working. It's helping me. A lot of people have this victim mentality about everything. And I've been there. So I can see it. I can see it. It takes one to know one sometimes. I can see you. And I'm not going to act like I'm perfect, and I don't play the victim sometimes. But I try my best to get out of that mindset and always, at least when I feel like a victim, no, I'm going to get my revenge, or I'm going to, maybe that's a bad way to put it. But I'm going to use it to make myself stronger. I'm going to use the sickness. I'm going to use the detox to cleanse myself of the crap that's within me. And I'm burping it out right now. You know, you can feel it clearing out. I could feel stuff clearing out of my forehead. And that's what Moldavite's doing to you. It's clearing out all these things. It's bringing up your biggest fears. It's ruining your life. It's ruining your old self that doesn't actually exist life that I've been talking about recently. You know, it's time to take your power back and realize that you can create your reality. You don't have to listen to people that can't see the magic. It's okay. Maybe one day they will. Maybe one day they will be inspired by you. But you can't waste your time worrying about those people. And I've let go of that a while ago. But that is a big looming fear still. It's like I've let go of it. I'm good at blocking stuff out. But Moldavite doesn't let you block it out sometimes. It makes you face it. So the things that you want to block out, you can't anymore. And then I had probably my favorite synchronicity that you could say Moldavite sent me. But we all know it's kind of me, Moldavite combined. We're all connected to the highest source. We're all just kind of pretending to be these characters for a little while. But I do have to say that to remind you, because I don't want you to give all the power away to the Moldavite. The Moldavite's only showing you the things that are within you already and the things that you are capable of. But my favorite synchronicity is this one with the white tiger, and I'm going to read it. I already posted this on my Instagram, and as many of you know, I have a white tiger in the corner of my videos. Well, I'm not sure what, this might be flipped, so I'm not sure what side it's going to be on because the camera flips, but it's one of the corners. But yeah, that's why I have the white tiger. The white tiger, I guess you could say, is my spirit animal. But I've had a lot of synchronicity throughout my life before I was into spirituality with the white tiger. And I got to meet a white tiger, pet it, and hold it. You know, I don't necessarily agree with all the things that zoos do and whatnot, but, you know, I was a kid. And there's really no other way. I mean, what do you want me to go into the wild to see this white tiger? When it really means a lot to me, like I could feel a real connection with it. I've seen it in my dreams. I've seen lots of synchronicity with the white tiger. But anyways, you can go check out my Instagram or the community tab for my white tiger post, in which I put the thing that I'm going to read. But the white tiger has been a big sign through me throughout my life. I'm wearing a Kobe jersey. As I mentioned, Kobe's a big sign. I'm wearing a Kobe little shirt while with the white tiger with my dad. And my dad has Moldavite and I have Moldavite, so that's cool. But yeah, the white tiger, I've never even read this, and this came up, so this is why it's such a big sign, is that I didn't realize the white tiger, like, it really aligns with me. And if you've watched my videos, or if you know me in real life and really, really, really know me, I'm not sure anybody does, but close enough, you'll know this is kind of me. Now I'm going to read what it says about the white tiger. The white tiger's hide with dark brown stripes provides near perfect camouflage during the hours of dawn and dusk, the hours during which he or she is most likely to hunt for food. Being thus endowed, the white of the tiger appears to the eyes of potential prey to be innocuous areas of sunlight in the forest or jungle, while the stripes provide the illusion of shadow. Thus it is believed that this is a spirit that dwells both in the world of darkness, the physical realm, as well as that of light, the spiritual realm, or the spirit realm. one who is blessed to have White Tiger walk beside them, is here with the role to seek personal truth. Yet in order to thoroughly understand and absorb the lessons and responsibilities of this role, White Tiger's soul need first acknowledge the shadows that exist within. The shadows that are represented by the dark stripes of the White Tiger may be in the form of beliefs or behaviors which bring pain to either to the self or others, fear turned inward, which ultimately manifest as hatred or anger, or untruths which he or she has borne, either through the act of omission or the direct voicing of untruth. Yet the challenge here is acknowledgement in the facing of personal truths, free of judgment, self-retribution, or placing the responsibility onto another. Instead, true integration and acknowledgement of personal truths comes from accepting what is revealed with an open and understanding heart while operating with the higher intent to change what is ultimately harmful, painful, or no longer of service to the growth of the individual soul along its life path. Once this self-examination and soul-level cleansing has been accomplished, White Tiger soul may then become the gleaming example to his or her fellow two-leggeds of the gift and beauty of operating from personal truth. When one chooses to operate from the higher vibration of White Tiger, an impassioned voice may be raised as an advocate for balance and acceptance. A teacher of fundamental philosophy might be born, or a leader may emerge to guide the way along the path of universal truth. And so maybe you think that's me, maybe you don't, but for me, that is a big sign. Like, it's just like, oh my God, this is me. I also have gotten a lot of signs, which I'll talk about in a future video, where it's like I pretend to have this aloof personality, but it's not. Like, I'm smarter than I pretend to be, I guess, sometimes, or maybe people perceive me as. But I'm okay with being misunderstood, and I like that. But the White Tiger has played a big part in my spiritual journey, and Moldavite, when I got it, this is when I found this sign. This is when I had all the synchronicities that I mentioned. I know this is a Moldavite video, and some of you guys may have clicked off already because you don't want to hear about my life and my synchronicity, but for the people that appreciate it, I appreciate you appreciating it, because that's what can happen. That's what can happen when you bring Moldavite into your life, and that's why I'm talking about it, is that when you bring this beautiful stone into your life, you too can have the synchronicity. And if you really believe it and actually take the time to care for Moldavite, you're detoxing and you're graduating frequencies. When you feel sick, here's my little one from Mark that broke off in a door. I've still got it. It wasn't as small as this. It was already small. So I'm not lying when I say I have one that broke off in a door. I didn't just break this thing on purpose. I'm not even sure if it broke off in a door, but I think it did. For some reason, it just broke, and I never found the other half of it. But anyway, I was thinking I'm graduating frequencies, because that is what's happening. You're going up in frequency when you sometimes get a new piece of Moldavite or whatever. Or you don't need Moldavite to do this. Again, I want to make this clear. You don't need Moldavite. Moldavite can help you do it very rapidly. But I thought I'm graduating frequencies. In the background, it was on the show Undisputed with Skip and Shannon. It's a sports show, love it or hate it. It's pretty funny. I'm not like saying I love both of them or anything, but I do enjoy the commentary every now and then. I find it entertaining because like I said, I just love inspiration from anywhere, and I can laugh at just about anything or be entertained. I appreciate all things. But he said, Shannon Sharp was talking, and he said frequent. Right when I had the thought, I'm graduating frequencies, he said the word frequent, like literally right at that time. And I know these are dumb things to most people. These are just like dumb coincidence. Like, bro, you're just reaching with these. But this is how my brain works, and these happen to me literally like constantly. I'm just listing a few because I only have a little bit of time in this video. And then it was 1:10 when that happened, right? It was 1:10 when all of this happened. I looked at the clock, it was 1:10. It wasn't 1:11. It wasn't. But then I realized this is how my mind works. I thought, well, it must mean I'm graduating frequencies like I just thought, because I'm about to be graduating from 1:10 to 1:11. And these are the kind of dumb ideas that I have. But maybe to some of you, they're not dumb, because to me, it's not dumb because it just keeps happening. And I'm learning to accept, like, it's real, buddy. Like, I know you feel like an idiot, but you can't deny it when it keeps happening. And when you run from God, when you run from the universe, when you run from these signs, if you're a person that has a higher calling, it eats away at you and your life starts to go to crap because you're not listening. And when I finally started listening, everything started working. So I encourage you to start listening. I want to read a very impactful poem. If you've seen the movie Coach Carter, you will probably recognize this. That's where I know it from. And at least just that scene, you can find it on YouTube. It's pretty cool. I would suggest watching that scene from Coach Carter. Our Greatest Fear by Marianne Williamson is the poem. And I'm about to read it. And I know I've been talking about darkness, but sometimes when you go into the darkness, you uncover that it's actually the light. And sometimes we are afraid of our own power. It's our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. And that's what this poem is about. And I've posted it before in the past, before all this stuff happened to me, and I've always kind of felt a sign with this poem. And I'm going to share it with all of you because I think it is very impactful. And maybe if you're going through that, and maybe you have this imposter syndrome, or who am I to be successful? Who am I to make money? Who am I to have the career I want? Who am I to tell people about spirituality if I don't have it all figured out? Or who am I to meditate if I don't know what I'm doing? We tell ourselves so many things that we can't do because it's our light that actually scares us. And that's why they distract us with all these things, because they're afraid of your light too. And I hope that you recognize the light that shines so very brightly within you. But I'm going to finally read it. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. But I think that's really true, because if you let your own light shine, if you finally listen to the poem, and it's not enlightened. It's not enlightenment to make yourself feel small, to not want to succeed, so that you don't make other people feel insecure. And I've been one of those people. I don't want to shine too bright because I don't want to dim other people's light. But actually, me shining bright will allow me to make other people's light shine brighter. And I've known this as well, but I'm allowing myself to do things that I've known, but I just never put into practice fully, or I put into practice half-assed, or But I decided I couldn't do it anymore, and Moldavite does play a role in that. Making this video, when I got it, I was just like, the time is now. It is 5:13 a.m. right now, and as I did the white tiger thing, I forgot to mention that it is it is very late right now / early, but my sleep schedule is totally flipped, and that was another synchronicity with the white tiger. Tend to be a night owl, and when I got sick, my sleep schedule got totally flipped, and I could have said, well, I need to go to sleep, but the time is now. It's all right now, and that movie inspired me, the white tiger inspired me, Moldavite inspired me, Kobe inspired me, Mark inspired me. Maybe it's time for me to inspire some other people. And maybe it's time for you to inspire some other people. But Moldavite is real, and I know it's real, and you can make fun of me all you want, but quite honestly, at this point, I don't even care. I just don't care anymore. It's this or I'm gonna die. It's this or I'm not happy. It's not. I'm not talking about Moldavite. I'm just saying my dreams or my living life on my own terms and doing what I'm really passionate about is actually easy. What seems like it would be hard, what seems like it'd be so scary, there'd be no way I could do it on my own. I actually feel worse conforming. I feel worse trying to fit into that box, and I mean that seems pretty obvious, but like it seems like what you should do, and I feel like a lot of people are doing what they think they should do instead of what their heart is really calling them to do. And I'm not saying to just do crap that you only want to do and just be a lazy person, or just like, oh, well, I'm out on a whim, like, oh, I don't feel like doing that, so I just won't do it, or I feel too scared to do that, so I'm not gonna do it. That's not what I mean by like doing what you feel you should do. That's not how I mean that. Some people mean that in a different way, so I get how some people are confused by that, but I really mean do what your higher self is telling you to do, what your higher calling is, and you can feel that, and Moldavite makes you feel that. Maybe not for everybody, but for me specifically, I know it's done that. And even times when I forget about it, I'll get a piece and it'll do it all over again. So every time that I question Moldavite, it just slaps me in the face, man. So I'm tired of questioning it, and I'm not going to let other people make me question it anymore. So, if you don't want one of the keys to the universe, which is energy, frequency, and vibration, shout out Nikola Tesla, then good. You don't need the key. I'll have the key, and I'll keep it to myself, and I'll gatekeep. But I'm just joking. But like in all seriousness, if people don't want to do it, or if they do it and they don't get the same feeling, or I've gotten Moldavite and didn't have this exact feeling. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. So, and even when they're real, I can tell when it's real and it's not. There are a lot of fakes. You got to be careful. But it is wild. Check out my Moldavite playlist that I'm going to have up on the screen. I have a Moldavite giveaway that I'm really going to be making a conscious effort to deliver on. I promise you guys. So there will be a lot of winners. I'm going to go to my local crystal shop, get some, probably buy some from Mark. I'm going to have some options, some pendants, some other stuff. Because I'm really taking this seriously, guys, and I really care about you guys, and I really want to spread Moldavite to more people. And I really care. I really care, and if you can't tell that I care, the universe will expose me, because I know that's how it works. So just let it expose me. If you don't believe I'm real, let that expose me for you. But anyways, watching my Moldavite playlist, guys. I love you all. Universal crystals forever.